Hello, friends. This is Jim Nantz of CBS Sports, and you're listening to a golf show that I think is unlike any other. A View from the Rough with my friend Kevin Allen. Sit back and enjoy.
Welcome to the premiere of Views from the Rough on ESPN 1300 in Baltimore. Hi, this is Kevin Allen. This is a dream come true for me that just happened to start by accident, and I give you a little background. My trade is a sports photographer. Coming through since high school, I always had a camera in my hand, and I've been able to take that to another level. Lucky enough to be associated with the Baltimore Orioles, the Baltimore Colts, Maryland football and basketball, and my love, wrestling. Been able to cover 23 NCAA championships and 8 Olympics. Lucky enough to win a couple national awards. So photography has been the love, and a few years back, when baseball went on strike and I was with the Orioles, I happened to be able to get a credential to the President's Cup and met a guy named Fred Couples. And Fred Couples embraced me, and I've never looked back. And golf has become 100% of my life, and it's changed my life as a person and made me a better person. And this is now a chance for me to get on the air, spread the gospel of golf and really what golf is all about. You're going to hear several things from several angles, and they all lead to golf and how you evaluate. Maybe not so much being a better player. We're going to try to make you a better player. We don't know if you've got the ability to be a better player, but the one thing we can do on this show is make you have and let you have more fun when you're playing golf, and let you maybe look at golf from a different angle so that you can take it into life. Maybe if your fellow golfer hits a bad shot, how you learn to comfort him, and it makes you a better person in turn. That's what this show is all about, and I'm glad you're all here with me and that you'll be here with me every week, I hope, and we give you enough variety in this show to bring you back every week. We're going to have headliners every week. These are people that I've met through the years and become friends with and know something about them personally. We're not going to talk about Tiger's game or Phil Mickelson's short game. We want to know what's inside his heart and what's inside his mind, something that you can take from it to make your game a little bit better. Coming up, PGA Pro Rick Schuler, Fred Couples, Major League Baseball Hall of Famer Frank Robinson, Maryland's own Fred Funk, and the number one guy at CBS Sports, Jim Nantz. Next up, former Baltimore Raven, current host of Man Caves on the DIY Network, Tony Saragusa on Views from the Rough. Views from the Rough is sponsored by George Clayton Collections Men's Custom Clothiers.
This is George Clayton. When you look good, you feel good. And when you feel good, you play good. And when you play good, you get paid good.
George Clayton Collections Men's Custom Clothiers, 301-814-5466 and GeorgeClaytonCollection.com.
ESPN Radio 1300.
Now you can listen to America's #1 sports network.
ESPN Radio all day long.
The best national sports coverage is on
ESPN Radio 1300.
And now the end.
Hi, this is Kevin Allen, and you're listening to Views from the Rough. And I don't know that I could have picked a song any better, but Frank actually picked it, and we've got world champion, Hall of Famer, Frank Robinson is my guest on my very first show. Welcome to the show, Frank.
Pleasure to be here, Kevin. Thank you.
Well, I know you're a busy man. You're doing some work still in baseball, and for you to take the time for me, as you always have, to come on to my first show is just really, really special for me, and it really means a lot, and I needed to let you know that right off the bat. For some folks who don't know who Frank Robinson is, I don't know where you've been in the last 50 years, but probably a guy that I relate to as being on the Mount Rushmore of baseball. One of the biggest trades for the Orioles in 1966. He came here for Milt Pappas, and things just really turned around. He spent 50 years in uniform. He's a Triple Crown winner, and he's got 500 home runs and almost 3,000 hits. And if he would have stayed healthy in that 67 season, I think we'd be looking at a guy that was that 500, 3,000 hits. What do you think, Frank?
You know, I was off to a good start, Kevin. You know, it was a lot of time after that in the season, so you don't know what may have happened. But it was certainly a good start, and it was a good feeling, and it was on my mind, the possibility of repeating, but it wasn't to be.
Well, for the guys who follow baseball, you came into the league as a National League hitter, and they usually say, okay, he's burning it up, he's lit the league on fire. Let's see what he does in the second half when they get the second look out of him. Okay, so they had to look at you the second half. You brought the team to a world championship, 4 straight over the mighty Dodgers. I mean, that first inning in Game 1 with you hitting a home run and Brooksy hitting a home run, and people are going like, dang, that was pretty special. But then for you to start that 67 season right up where you left off was a pretty special thing. And I know all of us, I was a young boy then, and we had visions of sugar plums, so it was pretty good. But that 66 season, there was a comment that came out from probably the world's greatest third baseman, Brooks Robinson. He said, in 64 and 65, the Orioles, we had the players. The one thing that Frank Robinson did for us, he taught us how to win. Well, Frank, how did you teach them how to win?
That's a good question. I don't know, Kevin. I guess it was just the attitude that I brought to the team and the way I played the game itself on the field. I just was always taught to, play as hard as you can, give 100%. If you're at first base, your job is to break up the double play, that type of thing, and, do whatever you can to help the team win. And I think maybe the toughness that I brought towards playing the game was what was missing in the Orioles team.
Well, you didn't have a lot of speed, and there was another guy that's also deity in Baltimore, Cal Ripken Jr., but the two things that you guys had in common, more than none, if there was a single, you could count on Frank Robinson being at third base. And that happened in a point in the World Series in 71. You had a bad wing, a bad wheel, and then the next thing you know, you're first to third, and then you score. And, we all know Clemente's arm. And you took it to the 6th game and got us to the 7th game. It wasn't to be. Probably Steve Blass's greatest efforts ever, and Bobby Robertson hitting some home runs. But, you put us in a position to win and beat those Pirates. That was the toughness that we all saw, and I'm sure that you're now talking about. So that's a great thing. That 67 season back, what was your one favorite moment during that 66 season? That you said, wow, we got a ball club here. We're really gelling.
It started in spring training. My first day there in batting practice, I didn't get a ball out of the cage, and my turn in the cage. And Louis Aparicio made the comment, "Is this what we traded Bill Pappas for?" And it just cracked everybody up, and I think that broke the ice right there. And I knew I was with a good group of guys, and we had an opportunity to win if we played as a team, and I thought we felt that's what we did.
Well, that's great, because if you've ever been close to Louis Aparicio, they called him Little Louis for a reason. He was little, and then I've been up next to Frank, and Frank's a pretty hulking big guy, so that took a lot of guts on his part to break the ice. That's pretty special. Another thing that you did, that you implemented for a dear friend of yours, Pat Corrales, the kangaroo court. That came into vogue from Frank Robinson putting the mop head on his head and being the judge, and you made guys pay for fines. So you made them visibly recognize base running errors or the little intricacies of the game that then brought them complete, that won them games in the end. Is that correct?
Well, that's correct. The kangaroo court was a lot of fun because everybody participated. That's what we said from the beginning. If everybody doesn't participate, we won't have it. And everybody did. But the main thing about that, it wasn't the money, it wasn't the fine, because they were only $1 fines. What we could do was we could point out mistakes that we made in the ball game and poke fun at the player and have fun with it and get the point across that, hey, you made a mistake, let's try to correct it, don't make that mistake again. And that was the beauty of that team that year. Everybody participated and everybody enjoyed and had a lot of laughs with that, the kangaroo court.
Kevin Allen with Major League Baseball Hall of Famer Frank Robinson here on Views from the Rough. Frank, you started a job as kind of a favor maybe to the commissioner and to Major League Baseball to save a team up in Montreal, and that broke into 6-7 years from coming to Montreal to here, and I was lucky enough to see you here and be a part of it, and we got to play a lot of golf while you were here, and I'll never forget those times. Tell us a little bit about that voyage and you really being the skipper in the very first game, ever for the Nationals.
Yeah. Well, I did take that job, and it was under the understanding it would only be for a year. And the Expos and the Twins were supposed to be contracted at the end of the year. And this is the reason I did that, and it developed into 5 years and 2 wonderful years in the nation capital of Washington, D.C., that capped that little stint managing again.
Well, I was teary-eyed. You were teary-eyed that last day, and I was able to get some great pictures and out of that, and it was a lot of fun. But golf, now that you've retired, but you haven't retired, you're still involved with baseball through the commissioner's office in various forms. But golf has now consumed you. I've been able to play golf with you. Probably one of the things that I love to tell people is I'll never forget that day we were up in New Jersey, and I was having a tough day of it. And you said to me, Skip, you go, Kev, and now I never played this game. I played baseball, but I'm noticing a couple things. And you had me do a thing, and you have a couple practice swings, and then I executed. And to see the look on your face, and then the way you talk to me afterwards, it was like you having your firstborn. You were a born teacher in that, and that got me excited. And there was just this thing between you and I that anytime you've ever told me something, I was able to listen for once instead of running my mouth, and being able to execute. And to execute for your skipper is pretty special. Guys here in Washington have somebody that you made a little quote to me about Ryan Zimmerman. Give us your views on him. How special is he? What are we looking at right now with the tools that this young kid has?
Well, from day one, I was told that before we drafted him, I was told he was a very special individual defensively. The hitting, in college, he hit for a good average in college, but there was more of talking about him defensively. But from the first day that I saw him at the big league level, you knew he was a very, very special individual and a very special player. He was down to earth, a good kid, willing to listen and learn, and knew his place on the team, and never spoke out of turn, and played a tremendous defense. It was unbelievable, and really started to learn, to hit at the big league level and come up with some big hits like veteran players did in tough situations. What you have in this kid, this young man, and he's still the same. I've talked to him over the years. We stay in touch a little bit over the course of the season in the winter, that he is a team player. He is all about the team. He's grounded. His head hasn't gotten any larger. His feet are on the ground, and he's a tremendous ball player, and the best is to come with him. And he's going to be one of the best players that ever played the game once he's finished.
Frank, how much golf are you playing during the week? How much time are you spending?
Only about 5 or 6 days a week, Kevin. That's about it.
Is that all? You and Buf? You and Buf taking the money from everybody, are you?
Well, trying to anyway.
Skip, what's the favorite golf course you've ever played on?
Riviera.
It's pretty special coming down 17 and 18, and that look on 18, and that fairway leaning the other way. That is a pretty special place. Frank, is there anything?
But I don't mean to cut you off, but Congressional is not bad.
No, it's not. No. And the Gold Course isn't bad there either. No. Hey, I appreciate that. And I know John Lieberger and the staff that has hosted you several times will appreciate those kind words. Is there anything you'd like to say to the fans here in Washington? You weren't really able to give a big speech on it. And into Baltimore, that we do miss you. So go ahead. It's all yours, Frank.
Nothing that I haven't really said before, and I'm not going to sit here and elaborate on it. But the fans of Baltimore, that was special times for me. I will always be an Oriole. And, they have been through some lean times and some tough times. But I can see the ball club and the organization starting to turn the corner now. And it's good times ahead in that organization. I want them to keep the faith in the players and the people there that's running that organization now. For the Washington Nationals, I think they're finally headed in the right direction as far as what they want to do and what they want to accomplish, and with the young kids and giving them the opportunity to learn at the big league level. And they have some good young ball players. Don't expect an awful lot or put too much emphasis on them as far as what they have to do just let them go out and play baseball and let them learn at that level. And in a very short period of time, I can see that organization, that team being very competitive in the National League.
Well, Skip, we're going to have to wrap it up. I just want to tell you thank you. I love you. And the golf balls are on the way, buddy.
Okay, Kevin. Thank you very much.
Thanks for being here.
Appreciate
You're listening to Frank Robinson with Kevin Allen on Views from the Rough. We'll be right back. Thank you for listening to Views from the Rough this week. I'd like to thank several people, most of all my mom and dad. They've always been there for me. My Barbara Kunyats. This young lady has changed my life. She stood beside me. Whatever it took, she was always there for me. I want to thank my best friend, my high school wrestling coach, Ed Trainer. Everybody should be as lucky to have a friend like him, somebody I can always go to anytime, bounce something off of. Uncle Eddie, I'm just trying to keep it balanced. My attorney, Martin Meridian. I actually got Martin to write me a check. Can you believe that? My attorney writing me a check. I appreciate it very, very much, Martin. You were there when I needed you. I'd like to thank Ernie Nagy, Mark Giacovetti, Mark Hasney, Frank Mezzanotte. These are just a few of the people that I'd really like to thank, besides all of the PGA professionals in the Mid-Atlantic section, particularly John Lieberger, Kerry Shura, Alan Ranowski, J.P. Lund, and Mike Dixon. You guys have always been there, and I really, really appreciate it. Until next week, may all your drives land in the short grass, and may all your greens be a one-putt. We'll see ya on Views from the Rough.
ESPN Radio 1300 is WJZ Baltimore. WJZ-FM HD2 Catonsville, Baltimore. The sports station. Online at ESPN1300.com.